My dad cheated with my aunt, and it shocked my mom. The hospital years later, he demanded I raise their kids, but my revenge shattered their lives. My name is Daniel Mitchell, and for 17 years, I believe my family was perfect. We lived in a beautiful house in Westbrook where my father Robert worked as a successful real estate developer, and my mother Catherine devoted herself to creating a warm, loving home. Sunday dinners brought extended family together, and my Aunt Patricia always attended, sitting closest to my father and laughing loudest at his jokes. I noticed nothing suspicious because children rarely suspect adults of betrayal. Looking back now, I can see warning signs everywhere, but during those years, I saw only what I expected to see. A loving father, a devoted mother, a caring aunt, a happy family that would soon shatter completely. The discovery happened on an ordinary Tuesday evening when my mother picked up my father's phone to check a restaurant reservation. A message notification appeared, and the preview showed enough words to freeze her completely. I found her standing motionless in the kitchen and took the phone from her trembling hand. The messages revealed a 3-year affair filled with intimate language and secret meetings. The sender was listed as Patricia with a heart emoji. My aunt, my mother's own sister. My mother began trembling violently, and her breathing became rapid. I called emergency services immediately, and paramedics arrived within minutes. As they loaded her onto a stretcher, I called my father and told him she found everything. The hospital became my home for 11 days while doctors treated my mother for stress-induced cardiomyopathy. Her heart had literally broken from emotional trauma. My father visited briefly each day, but never stayed longer than 30 minutes and always seemed eager to leave. Aunt Patricia never came at all. Extended family asked what caused such sudden illness, but I told no one the truth because my mother deserved to control her own story. I started documenting everything in a notebook: dates and times of visits, what was said, how long my father stayed. This habit started as a way to update my mother, but became something much more important over time. When she finally regained consciousness, her first question was about her sister. My mother returned home, determined to rebuild her life. Divorce proceedings began within 2 weeks. My father attempted reconciliation with flowers and letters, but she refused everything. Her decision was final, and nothing would change it. The legal process moved forward, and I continued documenting every interaction and contradiction in his stories. Aunt Patricia vanished from family gatherings completely. The divorce finalized after 8 months, and my mother received the family home. 1 month later, my father married Patricia in a courthouse ceremony with no family attendance. I learned about it through social media. That evening, my mother spoke directly for the first time, telling me his choices reflected his character, not my worth, and I owed him nothing based on guilt. My father and Patricia built their new life quickly, and within a year, twins arrived. Marcus and Elena became my half-siblings, though I never met them. I responded to the birth announcement politely, but briefly offering only congratulations. My mother never mentioned the twins and focused entirely on rebuilding through her career and therapy. I graduated high school and enrolled at a university 300 miles away because Westbrook held too many painful memories. My relationship with my father became purely transactional, with brief birthday calls and generic holiday texts. He invited me to gatherings, but I declined every time. Meanwhile, I continued documenting every broken promise and forgotten birthday. 15 years passed as I built my own stable, successful life. University provided escape and opportunity, and I studied business administration while working part-time to minimize debt. Graduation brought a position at a consulting firm with a salary exceeding expectations. My mother attended the ceremony and applauded loudest when my name was announced. My father sent a card with a check that I never cashed because I wanted nothing, creating obligation. Years brought steady advancement, and I purchased my first home at 28. A modest house in a quiet neighborhood with no memories of dysfunction. My mother visited regularly, and we established peaceful traditions. Through family networks, I learned my father's business struggled and their finances deteriorated. Then, one Saturday afternoon, he appeared at my door. My father stood on my porch looking dramatically aged with gray hair and exhausted posture. He explained that Patricia was seriously ill and they faced bankruptcy for medical expenses. Then came his real purpose. He wanted me to take guardianship of the twins because if Patricia died, he could not manage alone. His business was failing and he might lose everything. I asked him to confirm I understood correctly. He had abandoned me and destroyed my mother's life and built a new family on that wreckage and ignored me for 15 years. Now he wanted me to raise his affair children. He flinched but nodded. I said I needed time to consider, and he left seeming relieved I had not refused immediately. I contacted attorney Sandra Chun, who specialized in family law. She confirmed I had absolutely no legal obligation to accept guardianship regardless of blood relation. She warned about potential pressure tactics and suggested my father might involve extended family to create moral obligation. I showed her my 15 years of documentation, and she spent 30 minutes reviewing the files, declaring them remarkably thorough and incredibly valuable. Her recommendation was clear. Respond only in writing and document everything. If pressure escalated, we could counter false narratives with evidence. She explained social services existed for children whose families could not provide care. My refusal would not condemn them, but direct them toward appropriate resources. I drafted my response carefully over several days with Sandra reviewing the final version. The letter acknowledged difficult circumstances and expressed sympathy for Patricia's illness, but firmly declined his request. My reasoning focused on facts. 15 years of minimal relationship. No connection with the children. Incompatible lifestyle for sudden parenthood. I avoided emotional accusations and kept the tone professional. I sent it via certified mail. His response came within a week as a late-night phone call. I let go to voicemail. His message contained frustration and appeals to family loyalty. Then he crossed a line by referencing my mother's generous spirit and questioning whether I inherited it. Using her to manipulate me revealed his unchanged character. I forwarded the voicemail to Sandra and never returned his call. My father mobilized extended family to pressure me. Cousins and aunts and uncles suddenly contacted me, portraying me as cold and heartless for refusing innocent children. I responded individually, sharing relevant documentation and providing timelines showing his minimal involvement in my life. Responses shifted as truth replaced his narrative. Family members apologized for making assumptions. Others simply stopped pressuring me. His support network crumbled. He attempted similar campaigns with Patricia's family, but they had witnessed the affair's destruction and offered nothing. Isolated and facing diminishing options, his situation deteriorated as Patricia's condition worsened and medical expenses accumulated. I monitored developments through family networks while maintaining complete boundaries. 6 months later, Patricia passed away. Marcus and Elena, now 13, faced uncertain futures with a father incapable of providing stability. He declared bankruptcy within weeks, and the family home was sold. Social services became involved following school reports of neglect and emotional distress. The children entered temporary foster care while assessments were conducted. During this period, my father sent a 12-page handwritten letter acknowledging his failures and begging me to consider the children. He confessed he had always expected I would eventually forgive him, believing blood would override justified anger. He assumed I would rescue his second family as he failed his first. I read the letter twice, then filed it with my documentation without responding. Marcus and Elena entered foster care officially, and qualified families expressed interest in providing placement. Social worker Diane contacted me about potential involvement even without guardianship. I agreed to meet because curiosity about my half-siblings had grown. Diane explained they struggled understanding why their family collapsed and specifically asked about their older brother. She suggested meeting me could provide closure. I agreed, but emphasized I was not a potential guardian or rescue option. Any meeting focused on their healing, not creating obligations. She appreciated my directness, saying clarity would help them more than false hope. A meeting was scheduled for the following month. Marcus and Elena sat across from me in a conference room at social services. Marcus resembled our father with the same jaw and dark eyes. Elena favored Patricia. I spoke honestly, but gently acknowledging their confusion and emphasizing none of this was their fault. I explained I could not be their guardian because complicated history between adults happened before they were born. Marcus said their dad claimed I hated them because of how they were born. I responded firmly that I never hated them and simply had not known them. Elena asked if their mom really did something bad to my mom. I said adults sometimes make hurtful choices, but they carried no responsibility. When we parted, Elena hugged me and Marcus shook my hand. I offered limited connection as someone they could contact for advice. Months brought gradual development as Marcus and Elena found placement with a stable foster family interested in adoption. The couple had experience and provided the structure the twins needed. My father's situation deteriorated further with deepening depression and lost housing. My mother learned about my meeting with the children and surprised me by saying she was glad because they needed to understand the family fracture was not about them. Marcus and Elena began contacting me occasionally with texts about school achievements and questions about career planning. I responded consistently, maintaining limited but genuine connection. Their gratitude felt strange since I had refused guardianship, yet they thanked me for honesty. Perhaps boundaries were not cruelty after all. 3 years after Patricia's death, my father passed away alone in a homeless shelter from heart failure caused by years of stress and emotional collapse. I did not attend his funeral, and neither did Marcus or Elena. My mother called asking how I felt, and I said resolved. Not happy or sad, just resolved. He made choices and consequences played out. She said she stopped hating him years ago because hate required energy better spent elsewhere. I replied I never really hated him, but simply stopped allowing him access. Marcus and Elena graduated high school 2 years later, and I attended at their invitation. Elena thanked me for honesty during that first meeting. Marcus said they understood I knew they needed something I could not give, and directing them toward capable people was right. My father expected obligation to erase accountability and believed blood would override consequences. He miscalculated entirely. Justice arrived through patience and documented truth. His life shattered through natural consequences, not revenge. And I remained at peace. Subscribe this channel and like with comment. Backhand index pointing down. Watch the full story to see what happened next. Backhand index pointing down.